For more on the alleged ties between Trump and Russia, we turn to our Major Garrett in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where Trump is holding a rally tonight. So, Major, what do we know about this reported FBI investigation into Trump?
Well, Landon, it went on for several months, mostly during the summer, and the FBI was looking to see if there was anything untoward in any connections or relationships between anyone in the Russian government, Russian oligarchs, Donald Trump, his business entities, or his inner circle. The FBI found some smoke, but no fire. They found something interesting on the internet, a bit of activity between a Trump-based computer server and Alfa Bank, the bank you mentioned just a moment ago. What is Alfa Bank? Well, it's a prominent, well-capitalized bank in Moscow, known to, used by oligarchs with great ties and sympathies toward Russian President Vladimir Putin. But what the FBI concluded was that internet activity was essentially spam and marketing emails from the bank to this Trump server, nothing more than that. Now, you mentioned Trump's former general chairman, Paul Manafort. There is some reporting that he is under a preliminary FBI investigation for what he did for the former Ukrainian government led by Viktor Yanukovych, who was also sympathetic to Putin. I talked to Paul Manafort last night and again today. He assured me of two things. One, no one from the FBI has contacted anyone who represents him legally or him personally to suggest there's even a preliminary inquiry going on. And he said there is nothing about his business interests in Ukraine that warrant any kind of investigation, criminal or otherwise. So, a blanket denial from Paul Manafort, and he said any suggestion that there is an inquiry going on is nothing more than a political smear.
Major, all right, let's turn to Wisconsin, where you are right now, the second traditionally Democratic state that Donald Trump has visited this week. What can you tell us about this apparent blue state push?
So to understand Trump's travel strategy and his electoral map, you have to also appreciate the fact that the Trump campaign internally looks at the polling data and its prospects for victory in ways that no one else does. This isn't to say it's right or wrong, just to say that it's different. And here, let me, if you will, Elaine, explain. When the Trump campaign looks at public polling that shows a state like North Carolina, Florida, Ohio, or Iowa tied or within the margin of error, they think they've already won that state. Why? Because they believe there are 5 to 6 points in the polls that simply will not show up until Election Day. And where does that 5 to 6 points come from? 2 to 3 points from what the Trump campaign calls low propensity voters, or the silent majority. People who have not shown up in a presidential election for many cycles and therefore are not on the survey lists that pollsters contact as likely or possible voters. The Trump campaign believes those people will show up in great numbers and surprise pollsters. They also believe there's 1 to 2 points of natural Republicans gravitating toward the nominee in the closing days of the campaign because of revulsion over Hillary Clinton, coming home, if you will, to use a phrase that Trump's running mate Mike Pence often employs. Then they believe there's 1% of intangible vote out there, especially in the battleground states, of people not inclined to vote for Trump unless they believe he can win. They want to be with the winner. And they believe that 1% will never be measured, but it will show up, and it'll show up at the very last minute. So, looking at the polls, they look at even states as places where they're already well ahead, and places where they're 5 to 6 or 7 points behind, like Wisconsin tonight, like Michigan yesterday, as a state where they're within the margin of error and should go for a last-minute push. Again, Elaine, this is their methodology. This is their mathematics. It's either wrong or it's spectacularly right. We'll find out on Election Day, but I guarantee you it is what's driving the travel schedule and the electoral map strategy of this presidential campaign.
A lot of people will be poring over that post-election data to check out that methodology and whether it was correct. Major Garrett in Wisconsin for us. Major, thank you.